Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Lupus Fitness 333. My name is Angel. This is Philosophical Talks number 33. And today's topic is called Honesty is the Key to the Cosmos. Okay? So, number one, I'm going to define honesty. Okay? It is an adjective and it is free of deceit and untruthfulness. It is the act of being sincere. Okay? Now, a little bit about that. When it comes to any type of growth, you have to be honest with yourself. Okay? Don't do the thing that it's gonna sound a little bit, how do I say, controversial, but don't lie to yourself. Don't try to do your best to keep the image that you want in your head as close to reality. Obviously, you want to shoot for something, to be something more than what you are now, if that's what your goal is. Whatever it is, you have to develop yourself into that person that obtains whatever that is that you desire. But if there's no plan, if there's no action, if there's nothing that gives into motion towards that, then essentially you're lying to yourself. Okay? Number three. Okay? The first was me defining honesty. The second, of course, was me explaining to you why honesty is key to yourself. Alright? How does this relate? Number three, how does this relate to people with life-altering and life-changing diseases? Simply that you have to accept the reality. What has happened to you may or may not be your fault, but it is your reality. And as long as you're honest with yourself and you say to yourself, this is what's happening. Okay, now that this is happening, what do I do to help myself better the situation or improve my situation? Okay? So that's you facing unsettling truths, or how do I say this? Revealing the reality to yourself. Okay? Now, the problem with not being honest with yourself or not facing the reality that you're living today is simply that lying to yourself can lead to alterations of the mind. Okay? And that leads to false ego. When you build a false ego, the problem is that you become, and we talked about it last time, right? An emotional projection is that you start protecting an ego that may or may not be built on the factual truth that you're living, okay? And therefore, you get quote unquote emotional reaction from that because it is attacking a self or a projected self that you want to desperately live, but you possibly are not living it. And when somebody calls you out with the truth, all right, and again, this relates not only to people who are just regular people, but also people with the conditions that we're focusing on, is that you feel a sense of attack, right? You feel as though your life is being endangered. And sometimes you may not even be aware that that's happening. You just have a sense of adrenaline rush coming to you. And again, if you're not being honest with yourself, you're going to just react. If you are honest with yourself, you'll be a little bit more, that means you're practicing self-awareness. And thus, you stop yourself and try to question how come you're feeling that. Okay? All right. Number 4, okay? You have to reflect with yourself daily, all right? Challenge your beliefs. Challenge the beliefs that you have about yourself on a daily basis. Now, this isn't, please don't mix it with ego death. Please don't mix it with pessimism. It's basically what you think about yourself and what you feel about yourself. Does that reflect the reality that you live today? You understand? A lot of people struggle with this. Some people have this due to past traumas, due to a trauma that may be, how do I say, birthed from an accident or some kind of breakup or some kind of, you know, near-death experience, or even something as simple as someone saying to you something that has stuck with you for the rest of your life, right? That is something that you have to reflect on and be like, that's not who I am. Although it may have affected you, is it? Is it something that you believe that they said about you? You understand? And if it's not, or it's just something that you believe was meant to hurt you, you still have to bounce it back with yourself. You understand? So that's one way. The other way is, let's say you believe something about yourself, and you may or may not believe through factual evidence that that is true. You understand? So let me give you a funny example. Let's say you believe you are, how do we say? Let's say you believe you're, I don't know, like a star. Let's say not an actual, like, how do I say, physical pop idol or an actor or actress or whatever. Just you believe you are a sun, like a sun, a star in the sky, right? First of all, if you look at yourself, you're not that. Physically, you're not that. Okay? If you're talking about it symbolically, now that's a little different, but still, you have to be able to somehow radiate those qualities, even symbolically. You understand? But don't lie to yourself about it. If there is no action, if there is no physical change, if there's no alteration of self, of thoughts, of your soul towards that, then technically that's a lie. Okay? Simple as that. Number 5, seeking feedback and embracing vulnerability. This is key because it means that you're willing to let down your defenses and put aside your ego to listen to things that may not be favorable to you, but are definitely, in most cases, are constructive. Like, let's say you practice something. Let's say you practice batting, right? You practice baseball and you're practicing your batting, and someone tells you, "Hey man, that's terrible." Obviously, that can be thought of as a negative way, but what if they say to you, "Hey, listen, you gotta work on that technique because maybe you're hitting the bat, maybe you're hitting the ball on the wrong side of the bat, and it spins or it goes straight to the ground or it fouls." You have to be able to take that and not take it personally, but take it as a fact or find a way to improve that. You understand? Okay. In relationships, you have to embrace vulnerabilities. You understand? In order for you to create trust, in order for you to move forward in a relationship when things get a little bit difficult, right? You have to be honest with your partner. You have to explain to them or have that difficult conversation with them in order for you to level up in the relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a business partnership, whether it's actual intimate or romantic relationship. Difficult conversations have to be had, okay? And that means you have to embrace feedback and also embrace being vulnerable, because again, that requires you to put your feelings on the chopping block and then kind of being expressive with it. Hey, this is what I'm feeling, this is what's happening, or this is what I'm thinking, and then hopefully the other person reciprocates that. All right, but it's all chance, but it's still being honest with yourself and being honest with your partner. If they respect that, right, then you have an honest relationship. All right, the last thing is my closing statement. Okay, now I'm gonna read it, all right, because I can try to say, but I know I'm gonna mess it up, so I'm just gonna read it out loud, okay? The most honest you can be is in two critical moments, all right? And we've talked about this before in other past videos, okay? And those moments can always be recreated, all right? The two moments are the Zen clarity. We talked about this before. During your workouts or during a difficult challenge, right? You reach a limit. And in that limit, once you pass it, or let's for simplicity's sake, let's say you do a really hard workout or you have solved a really difficult problem. There is a small window of 2 to 3 seconds where your mind has completely cleared. Right now it's a blank canvas. You feel a rush of endorphins and serotonin, and in that moment you're supposed to create your new thought. The new thought that is now embraced by the obstacle that you have overcome. You understand? That's number one. Okay? I'm gonna put something right here for that, to represent that. Okay? The next is simply a difficult, let's see. Sorry, I lost my point. Okay, so reaching Zen clarity, which can be also achieved through meditation. All right, but in today's age, meditation is almost a luxury. All right, in most cases it is. All right, you have to have the right conditions, right? You have to be away from distractions, and although it can be recreated and it can be practiced, the point is that's far more of a spiritual and mental discipline. All right, and that requires more time and more of a internal understanding of self. Though you will go farther in that training, it is not as easily achievable as physical limits. Physical and mental limits, meaning problem solving, whether it be mathematics, whether it be a job thing, a job obstacle, let's say a math problem, programming, project managing, something like that. And then the other side is the physical side, which is weightlifting. Both of these can be easily recreated on a daily basis, right? Some may last longer than others. But the point is that there's always a small window after achieving the task that you can create a new thought, and you can be truly honest with yourself, right? Because it's going to test your limits. Sometimes you're going to be forced to look at yourself and be like, maybe I can't do it by myself, or maybe I have to learn something because the knowledge I have now is not enough. You understand? That's you seeking feedback and embracing vulnerability, but you're also being honest with yourself. We're going to put an image right here to represent that, okay? And as far as the meditation, which again we're going to put right here, is again to remind you that meditation is a fast line to that, but it requires more time, more patience, and a little bit more courage to do so. Why? Because you have to explore the inner workings of your mind and dealing with the hardships of your emotions. All right? That's not easily done. Everybody has their own journey, and you can't really put that on paper. There's no blueprint for that. Everybody has their own path, their own hang-ups, their own strengths, their own weaknesses, and every path is uniquely theirs. All right. Now, let's see. What do I have here? Yes. So how is the honesty the keys to the cosmos? All right. Honesty is the death of the ego, but a rebirth of the new self. You understand? So how is that the keys to the cosmos? Simply put it that every time you kill your ego, when you deal with a difficult problem and you're honest with yourself, right? Because in order for you to kill your ego, you need to be honest with yourself. You're not being harsh and you're not being overly loving. You're just saying to yourself, hey, the current me is not enough. You understand? And you accept it. And then you move forward by now going through the veil of the old self into the new self, which again is uncharted territory. Okay? We're going to put an image here. We're going to put an image here to represent you reaching your limits and then breaking through the veil. All right? Your rebirth. Reaching your limit is the ego death, right? And then reaching or going into uncharted territory is the rebirth. All right? And usually it happens like that. Usually when you're dealing with something overly difficult, overly complicated, and you're at your limit, you're mentally, physically, and spiritually exhausted, is when you have that window of bursting through that boat. All right? And thus, when you have practiced that little obstacle course every time, you'll see that your limit to growth is unlimited. All right? But that doesn't mean that every time you go through that, it's going to be easy. No. Don't ever believe that. It's always going to be difficult. It will always be difficult. If it's too easy, then it's probably not a real rebirth. You understand? Okay. Now again, I'm going to put an image here of the chronological order of how that happens. Okay? And with that, everybody, my name is Angel. This is Lupus Fitness 323, Philosophical Talks number 33. Honesty is the key to the cosmos.